Let us have understanding of a new concept, and name of the new concept is interest rate cap. That is the new concept that we have. It is interest rate cap. See, cap is a simple word. We know that the cap means say something that we wear on the head. Exactly the same word is taken over here for the purpose of explaining the concept. It is like this. Don't write anything, let me explain you. Whenever a company is borrowing funds, at the rate floating rate of interest. Whenever a company is borrowing funds at floating rate of interest, at that point of time, what happens? At that point of time, it has a risk that the floating rate of interest will go up. Risk that floating rate of interest may go up. Of course, with an expectation कि भी फ्लोटिंग रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट नीचे जाएगा, आप फ्लोटिंग रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट पे बोरो करते हो, पर आपको हमेशा पता होता है दैट से भी मेरा ये जो डिसीजन है, मेरा ये परसेप्शन जो है वो गलत भी हो सकता है. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट से देयर इज अ कॉन्सेप्ट दैट वी अंडरस्टैंड इज कॉल्ड इंटरेस्ट रेट कैप. ये कॉन्सेप्ट पे कुछ ऐसा है दैट से इट इज सिमिलर टू अ काइंड ऑफ ऑप्शन wherein we understand that say you enter into an agreement with an opposite party, wherein you have an agreement with the opposite party कि अगर रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट एक रेट से ऊपर जाएगा उसको हम लोग एक्सरसाइज रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट बोल सकते हैं. अगर एक्सरसाइज रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट से अगर रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट ऊपर जाएगा तो जितना भी ऊपर का इंटरेस्ट है वो आप मुझे कंपनसेट करना, और अगर रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट एक्सरसाइज रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट से नीचे रहेगा तो आपको मुझे कंपनसेट करने का जरूरत नहीं है. दैट इज व्हाट वी अंडरस्टैंड इज द इंटरेस्ट रेट कैप. Interest rate cap is say an agreement which is indicating wherein say the borrower is entering into an agreement with an opposite party wherein the opposite party is giving an assurance कि अगर रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट एक रेट से ऊपर गया तो मैं ऊपर का पैसा आपको कंपनसेट करके दूंगा. दैट इज द फर्स्ट थिंग. दूसरा एकदम गौर से सुनो. We understand that say the borrower is required to make payment of say a sum amount unconditionally to the opposite party. We understand that say whatever the risk that say the opposite person is taking, whatever the assurance that say the opposite person is giving, for that say it is charging something. This is the kind of agreement say which is entered upon between both of them. This is technically given a name as OTC derivative. The term OTC derivative stands for over the counter derivative transaction, in which say based on the mutual like the understanding or based on one-to-one negotiation say this kind of contract is entered upon. We understand that so the option contract, futures contract, these contracts are entered upon through standardized agency. So they are not OTC derivative, they are not over the counter. They have been entered through standardized agency. We can say that say forward contract जो हमने समझा था that is also an OTC derivative जो one to one negotiate करके किया जाता है. यहाँ पे borrower के point of view से क्या होता है that it is able to cover the risk of the increase in the rate of interest. Opposite party के point of view से they are interested in doing this transaction because they are expecting that the floating rate of interest will remain below the exercise rate of interest, और उनको एक प्रीमियम या ऐसा कुछ भी जो फिक्स चार्जेस मिलता है that is the kind of income in which they are interested upon. So the heading write down interest rate cap. In that write down first point It is an OTC derivative. In bracket write down over the counter. Full stop. It is an OTC derivative over the counter derivative transaction. Full stop. Second point, it is entered upon by a borrower. It is entered upon by a borrower, comma, who has borrowed funds at floating rate of interest. Full stop. Borrowing at floating rate is with an expectation that floating rate of interest will fall down. Full stop. However, there are chances that floating rate of interest may increase. Full stop. So, borrower, in bracket I am writing cap purchaser, will purchase interest rate cap from cap seller. Third point, cap buyer will pay a fixed amount for purchasing cap. Full stop. As against that, cap seller will compensate cap buyer if actual interest cost exceeds interest as per exercise rate of interest. full stop. Next point, cap buyer will be able to hedge its risk of increase in floating rate of interest and cap seller is expecting that floating interest rate will remain low and will be able to earn cap charges. Full stop. Let us see the next question. Suppose 1 year interest rate cap that specifies a principal of $1 million and 6 months LIBOR rate is 5%. The agreement starts on 15th of January. The LIBOR rate of interest is 5.5% on 15th of July. That is after 6 months. Calculate the amount of the interest seller owes to the buyer. That is cap seller owes to the cap buyer. That is a question. We understand that say actual rate of interest क्या है 5.5%. 5.5% क्या 5% से ज्यादा है. We understand that से तो ऊपर का जो इंटरेस्ट है that is 2.5% का जो इंटरेस्ट है वो देना पड़ेगा किसको कैप सेलर को टू कैप बायर. चलो राइट आंसर. Considering that exercise slash strike rate of interest is 5%, comma we compute amount of interest which cap seller is required to pay to cap buyer. Interest is equal to PRN upon 100. The principal amount is 1 million. That is an amount of 10 lakhs. देखो एक्सरसाइज रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट है 5 और लाइबोर है 5.5, यानी क्या हुआ एक्स्ट्रा इंटरेस्ट हुआ 0.5% का. अगर लाइबोर रेट 5 या उसके नीचे होता ना एक्चुअल लाइबोर जो क्वेश्चन में दे रखा है, then in that case the seller does not have to pay anything to the buyer. अगर ये जो रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट है ना फ्रेंड्स वो 5 या उसके नीचे होता ना, then in that case the cap seller does not have to pay anything to cap buyer. अच्छा, into टाइम पीरियड कितना है फ्रेंड्स 6 महीना. So 10 lakhs into 0.5% into 1 by 2. That comes to 2,500. This is the way the interest is supposed to be calculated. Please take an answer.